Kia ora koutou. We're actually reconvening today to pick up on a meeting that started on the 6th of November. And so we're picking up on item 8.2, Public Transport Procurement Strategy. But just to confirm that we do have a quorum present at the moment, there are 4 apologies for early departure. And so we'll try and get through the decision paper in time before that departure. So it's Councillors Edge, Pauling, Chair Pauling, Deputy Chair Swiggs and Councillor Sunkel who are departing early. So we'll jump straight into item 8.2, and I can see that Derek Walsh is raring to go and is jumping straight in. So thank you, Derek, if you'd like. Derek, who's Manager of Public Transport Operations, if you'd like to jump in on the paper. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll take the paper as read. It's our updated procurement strategy. This will become a public document. So we are seeking endorsement to take this through to Council for adoption. Following Council adoption, we will then take it to NZTA for endorsement. To be clear, NZTA have already seen the draft and we have received comments on it. So we note in the paper that this is a draft document pending final feedback from NZTA. Since that point, we've had the meeting with NZTA and we do not expect any changes to this document resulting from NZTA. Any questions?
So questions of clarity, Councillor Edge.
Sorry, just one. Page 58, the paragraph that talks about the on-demand service bus is potentially not complying with the rules. Is there a change of definition, or did we manage to resolve that one? So that's the second paragraph under the heading required for urban buses and public transport decarbonisation.
Could you confirm what section that is for me?
The second paragraph on page 58, there's reference that the fleet for an on-demand service is highly likely to include vehicles that do not fall under the RUB definition of a bus.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say it's 58 of the agenda or 12 of the actual report itself, which I think you might be looking at, Derek.
Yeah, that's right. So the RUB doesn't currently include for small passenger vehicles of the type that are on my way. The RUB we would anticipate being updated at some point to include that, but in the interim we'd have to seek an exemption.
Councillor Swiggs.
Yeah, my question, apologies, I'm trying to wind back my brain from the other day when I was, last week when we were looking at this, but I really don't like NZTA's rules in procurement. They're very restrictive about, the way that we can do it, and doesn't allow us to consider outside options easily. For example, if somebody decided to bring a hydrogen bus and we wanted to trial it out and do all sorts of other manufacturings on things, from my reading of NZTA's rules, it makes it very, very difficult for them to allow, well, we could do it, but they wouldn't fund it. And how can we change the rules or influence the rules to actually make it a lot more adaptable, or influence them? I know we can't probably at this stage of the plan because this is the only chance I've ever had to get to see this, but is there a way to influence them to be a bit more adaptable if we start to see some emerging technologies and different ways of delivering the outcomes of procurement?
I guess in the context of this strategy, the key thing for us is that we will always allow alternative tenders. So you have to submit a compliant tender meeting what we specify, but you're also open as a bidder to offer something completely different, and we would give that due consideration.
I know you'd give it due consideration, but I just know from reading NZTA rules that they will only, we might say, oh, we'll give it consideration, and then, hey, look, we want that, and then you pass the thing over to NZTA, and over their procurement, they'll go, actually, we're not going to fund that. So what happens in that situation?
Yeah, and I think that's a fair challenge. I guess ultimately the current focus of NZTA is on value for money. And then the onus is on us. If we can prove that an alternative would deliver value for money, I think that they would genuinely consider that as part of their funding envelope.
So do I have any more questions? No. I had one, which was I know we've quite often had conversations around bus procurement and local contractors that can build locally, and I didn't see anything that sort of put any weighting or gave us an opportunity to weight built local. Is that correct, or could there be an opportunity, or does that fall foul of some rule at NZTA level?
I don't think there would be anything preventing that. I would say that gets in the detail of the tenders we put out, so we can always ask in the tender for a priced option for local, and we would probably need to consider a priced option for non-local as well. And I don't see any challenges with coming and presenting the two options to council for a decision.
So what you're saying there is that we can go out, we'll put out a tender to different companies, a local, we know there's at least one local bus manufacturer, and then as council we can weigh up those and could make a decision, because I thought staff generally were the ones that would decide, and based on pre-tender decisions, like, you sort of make it clear what your criteria are when it goes out for tendering, rather than us being able to decide, well, actually the local one's just a bit more expensive and we're happy to go with that, like if it's not already incorporated into the sort of into the decision making process of the when you receive the tenders themselves. How would that work?
I would say as staff we would be duty bound to recommend the option that meets our criteria, and value for money would be one of those criteria. But as council, you have the option to select an alternative, as far as I'm concerned. So long as we were able to present the options and say these tick all the relevant boxes, here's a difference in price for local or non-local, I think that decision could then sit with council.
Okay.
So what I should be clear, there is nothing in this procurement strategy that would prohibit that.
So does there not need to be at least some paragraph or something recognising that we do have an interest in local within here, or?
Look, I'm more than happy to stick something in with that regard. I'm happy to update that for the final one that goes to council. Okay.
So do we need to put a note into the recommendations on that basis, and then see if councillors support that, but in principle where it's not excessively more expensive or something, some sort of wording that we would like to consider local procurement? Is that? Yep. Great.
Oh.
Okay. So have we got the recommendations going up yet? No. So Strategy and Policy Committee recommends that wording is added to recognise the value of local production, local manufacturing in the procurement process, something like that. Right. So recommends that staff include a paragraph in the procurement plan, whatever it's called, procurement strategy, to recognise the value of local manufacturing. Is that sufficient? Yep. Nice. Okay. So that's all of the recommendations together. I know that Councillor Davies is itching to move this one, so that's fine. Who would like to second? Councillor Ward. So, and so Derek, you can step back from the table now. Thank you. So, any discussion? Councillor Davies.
Just speak in support of endorsing the refreshed procurement strategy. The strategy is essential for securing funding in the future and ensures we maintain compliance with both NZTA requirements and the LTMA. The updated strategy addresses several critical developments, including the planned procurement for Timaru and the renegotiation of some of our bus units here in Christchurch. It's been carefully developed in consultation with the agency and existing PTOs, the operators, reflecting changes in regulations. Importantly as well, this is a living document that can be adapted as circumstances change, and while it covers the next 3 years, we anticipate updates before 28 to incorporate procurement processes. And with our current strategy expiring in April 25, endorsing this update is timely and necessary to maintain funding and service delivery. So I hope that my fellow councillors will support this endorsement today.
Councillor Ward, would you like to speak to it?
I just endorse what Councillor Davies has said. I think he's covered it off extremely well.
Good.
Of course you would.
Just to say it wasn't me. So kia ora. So all those in favour, please say aye. Oh, sorry, you want to speak to it as well.
I'd like to speak to it. Yeah, kia ora, Joe. Thank you, Nick. Not really happy to see this come forward, and the stuff in there about the strategic asset control is really important going forward. So, support it. Thank you.
That's Reg.
Thanks, Chair. Just picking up on this, I think that there is, obviously some flexibility in the way that things go forward. But I'm sort of bearing in mind too, conversation with South Island Regional Transport Chairs and a presentation by the Infrastructure Commission and what they're looking for in the future in terms of things, efficiency, cost-benefit analysis, innovation, and for us to be a bit more clever about how we do these things. So it's kind of, this seems to be in the right track. Good.
Anyone else want to speak to it? No, that's it. So kia ora. Thanks for bringing this to us, and it's good to see this signed off. I'm sure. So all those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? No. So that's carried. Kia ora. Okay. So we're now moving on to the report items for information. And we have the Strategy and Policy Committee report. And let me check who's speaking to this. Is it Catherine? Yep, Catherine, you're speaking to this one. So, Director of Strategy and Planning.
So the resolutions report has everything on track. So unless there's any other questions, I think they're all on track.
We've got one in progress.
One in progress. Yeah. If there's any questions about that, otherwise I'll take the report as read.
So in progress, that's the bit about formalising the Canterbury Biodiversity Strategy, Revitalisation, and we nominated last meeting Councillors Karakia and Robinson. I'm pretty sure that there's a first meeting happening before Christmas, isn't it? This side of the new year.
And it's drafting the terms of reference.
Yeah. So any questions? Looks like that's no. Okay, so can I have a mover? Oh, should we get the recommendations up on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so it's Chair Pauling and Councillor Sunkel. So all those in favour, please say aye. And all those, any against? No, so that's carried. So then moving on to item 9.2. So this is Central Government Update and Submissions Report. And Cecilia Ellis? Oh no, Emma Davis is coming. Sorry, I'm looking on. the screen and not around the room. Kia ora, Emma. So Emma will present this paper.
Good afternoon, councillors. So this is a standard report to the Strategy and Policy Committee to provide an update on central government legislation and submissions that we've made since the previous meeting. Since the October meeting, we have made 2 submissions under the delegation of the chair. So the first to the Justice Select Committee, on the Takatutai Moana Act, and Chair Pauline and Councillor Cranwell spoke to the Select and Councillor Karakia. So we presented to the Select Committee hearings on the 31st of October. The second government consultation that we've done a submission on, it was the DIA consultation on the draft regulations on natural hazard information on limbs to support local authorities implement changes to the Lagoima Act. So both of those were lodged under the delegation of the chair. And currently there's one submission that we're developing, which we've had a workshop on, and that's the amendments to the Biosecurity Act. So we've already held a workshop on that and will continue to seek your input as we develop that. The consultation on that has actually been extended by 2 weeks. So we can now bring that to a full council meeting early in December for your approval. So that provides that opportunity. And just finally, importantly, we've seen the enactment of the RMA Amendment Act, and we're just working through the implications for that, and we'll come back to you with more information on that. And secondly, last week on Thursday, the Treaty Principles Bill was introduced, and so again, staff are having a look at that, and we'll come back to you with more advice. So that's sort of a brief overview of what's captured in the paper, and the 2 submissions are attached to the paper. Happy to take questions.
Do I have any questions? Anyone? No? Councillor Edge?
Just a few. I was sort of looking at page 92 where you've got the sort of spreadsheet of summary of stuff. Obviously the Biosecurity Act. The one that caught my eye was the MPS of urban development and some of the text there. I think we're not particularly going into that at this stage, are we? Is that something that we might be submitting on, or is that what's going to happen?
Can I just, so that's on page 95 of the meeting, is it? Is that?
95, 96. I've got 96 under the NPS urban development, and it talks about requirements for growth and mentions things like enabling granny flats, enabling papakaianga, and better management outcomes for heritage buildings.
Yes, yes. Sorry, I've got brought my attention to that. Yep. So those are areas that will be covered under the second RMA amendment bill. So we're just really considering those at this stage. So yeah, haven't done any specific work on that. And we're expecting that to come out this side of Christmas, but not sure exactly when.
Okay. Any more questions? No? So I think Emma could leave the table. Thank you. If we can put the recommendation up on the screen. And then can I have a mover? Okay, Chair Pauling, second Councillor Edge. So, Chair Pauling, do you want to speak to this? No? Councillor Edge? Does anybody want to speak to this discussion? No? Okay, in that case, all those who are in favour, please say aye. Aye. Right. Any against? No, so that's carried. Kia ora. And so then, just into next meeting. So the next meeting will be on the 5th of February 2025. It's a Wednesday, so after the new year, and we'll all be raring to go. And then, Mihi Whakatau, not Mihi Whakatau, closing Karakia. So, Chair Pauling, you'd like to do that?
Kia ora koutou. He Karakia Whakakapi o tātou nei hui. Unuhia ki turu tapu nui o tāne, kia wāte, kia māma, tanākau, ta tinana, te wairewa ki te arataka tū, koe rai roko, whakiiriaki ki roka, kia tīna, haumi e hui e tā, kia ora koutou.